still am the Renfrewshire manager there. I just changed my job titles and forget back to being a Renfrewshire manager. And I've got with me Head of Creative Star Project and Lisa McIntosh is one of our panel members. Sorry, presenting today gave me a bit of an opportunity to look back at how we kind of set up the panel. We've had it for about 2.5 years now, but actually time just goes so quickly and actually forget what happened at the start, why did we do this and how did we do it. So I'm going to go back a bit how we kind of set up the cost and all that kind of things. I hope that's useful, especially for councils who maybe don't have a panel at the moment. So we had decided in Renfrewshire that we wanted to start including the voice of lived experience in our policy making, especially in child poverty, but it is wider than that. So Getting Our Scotland, I don't know if you've heard of that, but that was a Scottish Government funded project with the Poverty Alliance, and that was designed to help people in low income get their voices heard and impact policy and practice in local authorities. So Poverty Alliance had carried out some work in Renfrewshire, and they had produced a report called In the Room Where It Happens, and that's online for anyone to see, and that gives some options. If you haven't seen that, some options about different ways you can use lived experience. So we had decided to trial the lived experience panel, and we decided to do it for 6 months just to see how that worked and if it worked for us in Renfrewshire, if that's the route we kind of wanted to go down. So we trialled it for 6 months with Poverty Alliance as our national partner and the Star Project as our local partner. So the original agreement was for that 6 months period for the panel to meet once a month. The panel obviously immediately declared themselves to be independent, so that was just like the council funded and they decided they were independent, they would do what they want, which is absolutely fine, that's how it should be. And they also decided themselves that they were called the Fairer Renfrewshire Panel, so they didn't call them that was their name that they came up with. They decided they were going to be Renfrewshire Fairer, which is great. So just the cost thing, because it's so verified. If you haven't done this before, you wanted to do what you're doing. So for that 6 month pilot, we paid Poverty Alliance £8,500 roughly. The Star Project at £25,000. That was a contract we bet, and then they won the contract for this bit of work. That £25,000 included Star Project getting an artist to work alongside the panel to go produce a creative element to the panel meetings, which is really was an interesting bit of work as well. And ongoing now, we've now funded the panel for a further 2 years, so that's roughly £30,000 a year that costs us to do that. So I'm really not going to go up because these slides show the different roles and responsibilities of the three organisations that are involved in this, but I'm not going to get through this. What I just would like to say is Poverty Alliance for us were vital. I've never done anything like this before. I'm a policy person, I'm not a facilitator, I don't have those skills, so it was actually just really daunting for me. I think they said to me, set up a panel, it would be like, oh my God, like where do we start? So really having the experience of the Poverty Alliance, we were so used to doing this and could set the tone and could work with the panel in those initial stages. And it has evolved from there, but actually to have that, I just feel was absolutely invaluable for us. The other thing too, and I'm sorry that font's quite small and I'm hoping the slides will be shared, but the other thing that's really vital for us was to have an organisation that could support the panel as well, and make them feel safe to challenge the council. So Star Project are a really experienced, award-winning local third sector organisation that based in Paisley, and my team worked very well with them anyway. So they won the contract for this piece of work, and they not only support the panels through those panel processes, but because they're already an existing project that works with people in poverty, they're able to offer a wraparound support for people as well. Panel members who were never involved with that before now come along to their drop-ins and work with them, but they also volunteer for them as well, so I think it's actually been beneficial for staff, although I can talk about that as well. And also before the council got rid of the panel, Star Project prepared them for the participation, they increased our confidence, they gave them agency and inspiration, and that resulted in them being able to speak truth to power and challenge the council, which they do. And from a council point of view, we kind of do the council stuff, we bring people along, we answer the council questions, we get the council services to come along to the panel, and the first step was us going to the services, but the time's moved on. Now we're always asked, can we come to the panel? Can we come speak to the panel? And as just said, the most important thing is to have, councillors or council staff are coming along, they're honest and they're willing to listen to the panel as well. So the panel, as I said, is not only focused around child poverty, they've got a wider focus on making Renfrewshire fairer, but they do particular child poverty work. The panel has developed their own ideas. You can see that, but this is where the artist came in. So this is kind of co-produced with the artist. So the panel produced their own work agreement, and they also produced their own initial priorities as well. It's not just about council priorities, it's absolutely about a panel priorities as well. And I'd also just say it took a lot longer. I think we did all this preparatory work in the 6 months, but actually it really took the end of that 6 months before we started bringing any work to the panel. It just did take a long time for the whole kind of forming, storming, all that going on, so it did take a bit longer than we thought. So that was kind of that was our 6 month pilot. So after that 6 months, poverty line stepped away. So it's just now ourselves in the STAR project. The panel meets at STAR project's premises mostly, although we do go out and go to other kinds of services, go out to schools to try the school meals, go just go and visit people when we can, get out and about. So the other thing is about having STAR, that's our second organisation, is that they really built trust with the panel and also the STAR project and the council trust on another. So I think that's really helped with the panel to trust the council as well. Although we had arranged originally, as I said, that the panel would meet once a month, they now meet every week. So they're not funded to meet every week, but they want to meet every week, and the STAR project facilitated that. So they use that for examining documents, deliberating, discussing, come up with their priorities, all that kind of thing. So they do, I should have said, they do remunerate the panel so that they receive vouchers for their time, but not for every week. That's absolutely their choice to come in and meet every week. So which is great, that's great, they're so active. They also have their own WhatsApp group for discussion. The panel's met elected members on a number of occasions. We have a Fair Renfrewshire Council kind of subcommittee, and the convener of that is SNP and the deputy is Labour. And it's the first time I've ever been involved in the council where elected members of different parties come along together and speak to people. It's just that's really rare, certainly in our council anyway, so that's really been, I think, beneficial as well. Last year we held an event for our frogs, so everyone loves the frogs. That's the Fair Renfrewshire Officers Group, which is just so nice. We are frogs, so we're big senior council managers, so we held an event for the frogs, the elected members, and our second interface came along as well, and that was where the panel were able just to actually take away signed statements from people saying what they would do to make Renfrewshire fairer, which they're absolutely delighted about. I'm slightly scared of, but that's fine, it's all good. And we've also been commissioned recently by Renfrewshire Health Social Care Partnership to work on the Health and Wellbeing Survey, and I'm going to be presenting to the Council's Chief Executive, Community Plan Partnership Exec as well, very shortly. So that was their first kind of externally commissioned bit of work as well, so that was really nice to see how that kind of had moved on as well. And also we've met with a wide range of council services, DHSCP and third sector too. I've just got a wee note here that even I can't read from them. So the input in summer holiday provision, into employability, into cost of the nursery day, into school meals and school meal debt, council tax debt, and collection as well, which is debt, transport or local transport strategy, climate change, an event strategy, digital strategy, affordable credit, the third sector, homes and marketing, advice, HSCPs, I said, and housing. And that's not all, that's just, there's most of it, but it's not everything, it's not everything. So they've really had impact on a wide number of services within the council. Just had a few reflections on what, looking back. So I think one of the things we need is the right people to be involved in this kind of work, people in the council who are actually going to take this on board and do something with it, they're willing to listen and they're willing to accept the panel's experiences as well. Honesty is vital, and before we bring a council service out to meet with the panel, we always speak to them first of all to say, look, you have to be honest, don't bullshit the panel, they'll see through it, you just need to, be as honest as you can. If you can't do something, just say it, you can't do it. I think, as certainly, it's just my experience, we tend to be quite offensive in councils. I think we're so used to being attacked by people or being told we're not doing the right thing or whatever. So you have to have people that aren't going to be defensive. There's no point in a panel member telling you something and you go, well, actually, that exists. And you just, it's a relevant, it's guess you don't know about it, so you need to do something about it. So, you need to accept people's experiences. We found we used our friends initially, so we give nice friendly services that we work well with. We could bring them out to the panel in the first instance, and that just really helped set the tone because we knew they actually would take action. So there wasn't really much point bringing people along at first who weren't going to actually do anything. So that I would say that was really quite important when we kicked off. Engagement has to be meaningful. It can't be a tick box. The panel won't accept it being a tick box anyway. So you need to again make sure when you're speaking to services or services are saying, can you come out and meet the panel? Say yes you can, but as long as you actually do something with it, don't just come out and meet and go, right, I met the panel, I'll say I've got lived experience in this, but it cannot happen like that. And now I've got into my 80s references, get the balance right, it's something to do with the balance between the panel priorities and the council priorities. Because both are important, sometimes council priorities in a council, it's like, we need to do this quite quickly, and the panel are like, well, we were going to discuss whatever, so you need to just have that flexibility and understanding and honesty between you, and then we can hopefully get a balance right. And I've also just said, well, if they will come, my other friends, people do come to me all the time, and at first it was like, when people come see the panel, and then it's like, oh, we've got enough to do, we've got meetings for April, meetings for May, it's just like, it's really popular. Everyone wants to come and meet the panel. So, has it worked? Yes, we think it has worked. The pilot was evaluated, Poverty Alliance evaluated the pilot and evaluated well, but I think more importantly for us, the panel have seen their input reflected and they've told us that also engagement levels are really high. None of the panel have left apart from through health, so none of them have gone. So I think that's because they do see something that's happening and they do see their voices are being heard. I just got a quote from our digital strategy manager. He came out to see the panel last week for the third time, I think. He said he needed to come out again in May to discuss our new digital strategy. So he's seen how there are different inspiring individuals who help shape digital inclusion. Because I can't comment on that, I'm sure it's true. And finally, just a wee picture of our panel. There, that was then at the event that we held. So, just a quote from the panel. It's common sense. Why wouldn't a council harness the skills and know-how from a community? We'll have to live this every day. We can help. We can make it better for other people. The We just need to ask, listen to a reply, hear a reply, and act on that information. Why is this the first time I feel like I'm activating here and potentially see action? We need to do so much more of this. So, on that note, I'll pass you over to Hannah.
Now, I will say I've prorogate my homework. I am not as prepared as these two ladies, but anyone that's ever had the misfortune to hear me speak before will know why. James. Oh, so I'm not.
Everybody's doing it.
So I'm brilliant. I don't know where my slides are, so let us stand in silence for a minute. And it's a shame because I look better in that other picture than I do. I don't look like a broccoli stomach. So my name's Heather Kane. I'm the manager of Star Project, and yep, we're the third. Oh, James. So maybe it's at the end. I know Diane, she's good. She's good, but we'll be fast on the ground. And we were really excited to become involved with the Fair Renfrewshire panel. And so Star Project's been going for 25 years, and we are small but mighty. We're quite gobby. I don't say award winning anymore because it's been a while since we got an award because we are quite gobby. Our primary people that we answer are who we should answer to, which is the community. We are trusted, we are well-kept faces, and that's really, really important to our community. Before COVID, we worked with about 2,500 unique individuals, and then last year alone, we worked with over 8,000, and that's a drop down because during COVID it was wild. So we've been going a long time. We do anything around tackling poverty, and we meet people where they need us to. We sit down next to them, we walk alongside them. I know that's quite jargonistic, but our community tells us what they like to hear because it's not about us fixing things for them, it's about us supporting them to get where they need to. I am so invested in whether we get to those things. You guys are witnesses that I did not cause that. You're grand. I've never been happier that I didn't do my homework, really. It's like, my entire speech was on those slides. So when the council, we have worked with council for a long time now, particularly Diane's team, because they're great. They get it. We like to joke that Diane and her boss Annabelle are our community activist ninjas within the council because they just seem to get it. They're always respectful. Our community like them and respect them. And so when we saw the Get Heard project come up, we were like, we need to do this because this is something that our community, they're every bit as gobby as us. And they were like, oh yeah, when I went out, I saw it come up and I went out to the drop-in and I was like, guys, is this something that we should be thinking about? And they were like, yes. Yes, it is. And then they reeled off this long list of things that they had been involved in that they had never heard back about. And they were their famous words, it's not good enough ever. And I'm like, right, okay, fair enough. So they're like, so if you do this and you're doing it and it's Diane and it's Anna, that's fine. They're good people. We are well known for, pardon the pun, but frog marching people out of the building if they are not respectful to our community, if they do not follow through with what they say, they are not welcome back. And so we went for it. We took a really strange approach in that we like doing things creatively. Because you can all sit around a table and talk. But when you are cutting things up, when you're gluing things, when you're colouring things in, people talk more. We wanted it to be accessible. People that we recruited for the panel, some of whom were well-known community activists, some we had no knowledge of. We went out to our partners and said to them, look, this is something we really want to do. Is that something that you can see for people that you're interested in getting involved with? And there was a couple of community members that were already in start, and I'm like, that's a no-brainer. Like, because, you know, everybody on the Fair Rent panel, in their own way, are feel very strongly about things, but they wouldn't necessarily communicate that by speaking out, speaking on a stage, speaking to the council. They do it differently. So by taking this creative approach where they're going to create their own easy, which by the way, a couple of them, not interested at all. Thought it was an absolute nonsense, love it now. Just you will attest to, but they hated it at the time. But we got into this easing because we wanted to make it accessible for people to see what it was that we're doing and making sure, and the panel say this, and Lisa is so much better at saying this than me, this is not a star vehicle and it's not a Renfrewshire Council vehicle. They are very much their own panel. I think I was introduced yesterday at a conference by one of the panel going, and this is Star, we rent the space from them so we can meet. And I'm like, what? I'm with you every week. No, that's fine. It's like, I'm not fat, I am just swollen from being a buffer between you and the council. But that's fine, no, rent space, that's great. But they are, you know, it's really important that we made it as accessible as possible for people, so we did this easy. And that was great, and the kind of the storming and the norming and everything did take 6 months. There were a lot of different voices there, and it was quite scary. I've been doing this for 30 years on and off, and I have never in that time experienced working in this way where it was just like it wasn't our voices. It didn't matter what we said. That piece of work we just did with the Health and Social Care Partnership came up with very different things than what Star Project would have said. And I think at one point I was trying to write the script with you guys, and I was like, so is that what you mean? And they're like, no, Heather, that's absolutely not what we mean. Write down what we're saying. And I was like, okay. And so they are fantastic. They are formidable in the very best possible way. I love when the council come in and they look terrified. And if you've ever thought about having your work looked at in deep detail, and how that feels, and then you have 13 people asking you questions about it. They even changed the way in which some of the council officers were like, we would like the questions ahead of time. And we were like, I don't want your standard press release on what you're doing. I want to hear what you're doing from your mouth. I mean, that's scary, that's brave, and that's impressive, and that's why we love working with the council on this, because they never shied away from it, and you could not pay me enough money for the panel to sit and ask me about my job. I mean, which is do, whether I want it or not. Because I think that it is really scary. It's not about telling, oh, what a good job you're doing, this works great. For that very rarely happens. Very good. However, and I think that is something to be applauded. I think it's very difficult, especially when budgets are getting smaller and people are getting worried about things like that. But the payoff from that, the journey of the panel has been nothing short of remarkable. And like I said, I've done this for a very long time. And at times, because I'm the manager of the project, I keep thinking, I should step away and do my day job. This is maybe one of our development work, and I can't do it. Because it reminds me why I do my job. Every single time I stand there, every single time I go to do a conference or I'm going to a local partnership meeting, I will go and speak to the panel and go, guys, what's coming up for you right now? What do you want me to bring into it? And they tell me. And that kind of insight, I don't care how much money you don't have, you cannot afford not to have a lived experience panel. If you're a third sector organisation, it will make your practice better. And if you're a local authority, obviously, unequivocally will make your service better, because no matter how much you think you know about what's happening in your community, you do not know it until you are living it day in, day out. And that's where the representation is so vital and so important. I'll stop havering, and I will hand over, because arguably you heard about how much it costs, and then you're going to hear like the real nuts and bolts of it. So we are just very, very privileged to work alongside the panel and the council. We're grateful, and we will scratch our heads why other places are not doing this. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work, but you'll regret it. Thank you. Public
speaking is not for me, but hey ho, As Heather and Diana said, I'm Lisa, member of the Federal Panel. I have been since the day it started. But when I received a phone call asking me to join the Federal Panel, be involved in it, I thought, here we go, another tick box exercise for the council. Met these amazing, inspiring people at this first panel meeting. I don't think this is going to be what the council thinks we are. But anyhow, but I want to start by thanking the Renfrewshire Council and all of the other local authorities for firstly recognising the need to have a lived experience panel, and secondly for giving us a voice to contribute and influence policies without building a fairer Scotland. What makes us a successful panel? Our aim is to make a lasting change within local government, ensuring our voices are heard and used as a blueprint to replicate lived experience panels across Scotland. We believe lived experience is vital at every stage of planning within all services across Renfrewshire, guaranteeing services are done alongside us, not through us. Why do I keep attending? Not just me, all of us. Having Renfrewshire Council listen and act from our views is empowering and enlightening. While change is slow to action, we already recognise the changes that we're making. We're now building a reputation within Renfrewshire, and as Diane said, we were recently commissioned by the Health and Social Care Partnership. We've also been recognised and consulted by third sector organisations. This is a huge driving force that keeps us going. One of the most obvious and positive changes, albeit accidental, was after a meeting with Engaging Renfrewshire. Engaging Renfrewshire is economic development service with the aim on growing the local economy by supporting employment. They came to us to ask how do we get paid back to work. We gave her advice, told them everything, but then afterwards I thought, I'm going to use their service because I think it's about time I get back into work. Went way up, signed myself up, but while I was in the building I noticed this isn't very private, I'm discussing my personal business here, and there's people all around me. And it's the top of a marble staircase, loads of kids running about, I was petrified. So take sneaky pictures, sent it to my WhatsApp group, and the following week we discussed it, and we decided, let's call them back in and tell them these concerns we have. So they came in, we discussed everything, they were like, okay. A week later, maybe 2 weeks later, I went back to one of my follow-up appointments. The place had totally changed. Private booths, private rooms for parents to go and sit while they're being consulted, and the kids can sit and play with toys. Wow, they worked quickly. I thought, taking more sneaky pictures to show everyone. Our panel, this was meant to be a slide, but I'll need to read it too, because it's pretty boring. Our panel was made up of a variety of people with substantial experience of living with and in poverty. We have people with disabilities, new Scots, men and women, parents, single parents, employed, in work and in poverty. It does exist, people don't think it does. Unemployed, dependent on benefits, community council members, care experienced, carers, people living with addictions, and graduates. As you can see, we have a variety of lived experience. However, we do recognise that there is gaps that we're unable to represent. For example, although we have people that have grown up in rural poverty, there's quite a lot of rural villages within Renfrewshire, we don't have current experience of this poverty. And ideally, we would like experience. We want all lived experience panels to have representation from all ages, from cradle to youth, ensuring that all voices are heard. This is the only way to create an inclusive and fairer Renfrewshire. Our hopes and aspirations for the future. We recognise that at present we feed into the Fairer Renfrewshire Officers Group, the FROG as we call them, to drive our priorities, but we would love to have a direct connection with senior officers, especially the chief executives, and more elected members. We would even encourage them to come along to quarterly panel reviews. At our recent sharing events that Diana has already spoke about, we decided that we were taking written commitments from every single member that was there. We are now using this to build on and develop a strategic working plan. Our successes are only the beginning that we all can make.